So the final question is, how did you use media technologies in the construction and research, planning and evaluation stages? Now this is split into two categories, one being hardware and one being software. So the first piece of hardware that we used was a MacBook Pro. So the MacBook Pro was the computer that we used the most at school to do our research and planning stages. We were using Google, we were using all these different things on the computer in order to present our research, and I'll go into that in more detail about the software that we used in order to present that. We don't have MacBook Pros at home, and so it's really exciting to use something new, a hardware that we all really enjoyed using by the end. You get used to using them really quickly, and I think it's really helpful when we're using them every day to keep going and keep working on our product, and that's what really helped us in 2018 when we were actually creating and editing our product. It really helped us because we knew the Macs inside out by then. We knew where everything was, where all of our stuff was, and how to use them sophisticatedly. The next piece of hardware that I used a lot and still use today, and I'm going to use for this evaluation as well, is my Acer laptop. Now this is something that I used to create the website initially. I felt that it was a lot easier to do this at home, away from school. I think on this Windows laptop I can really use Wix very efficiently, very well, and also means that the framing for the website is a lot smaller, and so nothing is lost. And I think that's really important because on the Mac screens at school that it's really big, and sometimes you lose half a box of text or something because the screens are different sizes. Now the next thing we used was my Nikon camera. We used this with the Rode mic. That was really useful for us to have two different cameras when we were out filming. It meant that myself and Isabel could go off and film different things. It meant that we could have one that was on a tripod, and that was my Nikon camera, and then one that we held freely, and that was what Isabel was using. Now Isabel was using the JVC camcorder that school provided for us, and they also had a Rode mic, so it's really useful that we had two microphones on us that we used to get clear sound. So when we were out filming, not only did we use both the cameras and the tripod, we also used my iPhone. Now this is something that was really useful when we were out filming because we attached my headphones and used the microphone on this to film Lucy. Now this allowed us to get really clear sound. So when it came to editing, all I did was sync the voice note that we got on my phone with the video that we got with the camera. The background noise was horrific. There was a lot of people out when we were filming, and so it meant that any background noise would be picked up so easily. We not only used my phone to record sound, we also used it to edit a few things as well. We used a software called Splice, and I'll get into that in our next stage. When we were out filming, we actually used two tripods. That was really helpful when we were interviewing Kate. It meant that we had two steady shots from different angles. Now software. Software was really important right from the beginning of our project. We used Prezi to showcase what we learned. We all explored different types of software that we could use. I personally used Prezi a lot. I used ThingLink, which is where you pin information onto a photo. I love using it. It's very simple, very quick and efficient to use and showcase a lot of information at once. We used YouTube to look up videos and to get a lot of inspiration, whether that was for tutorials that we'd use when editing in After Effects or Premiere Elements, or to look up things that we'd put on our website. That's what we used a lot. YouTube was very helpful for us. We also used things like Padlet and Emaze, and they were something that I personally don't really like using. I find them a little bit more complicated and just too time consuming. I feel like with ThingLink I can just get all my information out there very simply and very efficiently, and I think that that was the best version for me. The awesome thing with them is that you can find them online, which is really useful when I got back home and I could use them on my laptop. When it got to creating our final project, we used a lot of software on the Macs at school. Now the first software I used was Adobe Photoshop. Now this was really useful for us. I personally don't like using Photoshop. I find it quite difficult to use. So last year I used an online website called PicMonkey to edit the logo for our project on YouTube. I googled a tutorial to help me just understand how to use Photoshop, really get to know it, and I think by the end of it I really enjoyed it. So that's how I created our logo. It was quite hard. It was a very trial and error kind of thing, but I loved it and I think it's an amazing software. We then edited our main project on Adobe Premiere Elements. It's very simple, very quick. We had a few troubles sometimes, you know, software will close down and do all these different types of things, but overall it is very simple to use. We also used After Effects, however it's a lot more complicated to use than Premiere Elements. A lot of the time Isabel found that when she was doing her infographics she'd start on After Effects and then have to change to Premiere Elements to finish them off. It was too complicated to find the little things that people would talk about on these tutorials online. However, overall Lucy found it very easy and fun to use for the tickers, for the infographics and all these things for our project. Now, two other things that we used for our infographics was a program called Animaze. You just log in and you create your infographics on there. We use that for our search bar at the end of our project and for one of our infographics with a pie chart. It was enjoyable to use another software online. We also looked at using Powtoon. I fiddled around with that for a while and then I realised that Animaker was just as good as using Powtoon, if not better. Powtoon kept on closing down and it was very temperamental with me. Now, another piece of software we used was on my phone and it's an app called Splice. It's powered by GoPro. It's absolutely amazing. It's very simple to use and it's all at your fingertips. So I was able in class to sit there, just use my phone, edit a few clips together, and this was mainly for our planning stages when we were, you know, looking at using storyboards, putting together a few clips, a few ideas of shots. But I also did use it for our main project as well, just to see what would work, whether it would actually look good or not, and it actually worked really well and it's very helpful for us to use. Now, the next two things were vital for our whole project to come together. Now, the first thing is Blogger. Now, on Blogger we showcased everything we'd been working on right from the beginning. The next thing that was again vital for us to use was Wix. Now, Wix is a site that I never used before this project, so that's why I absolutely love it. I was the one that created the vast majority of the website. Now, another software that Lucy used a lot was GarageBand. This software was extremely vital for us to create all of our music. She was chopping and changing, putting in pianos and guitars and all these different things to create our underlining background music for our product. Now, sound was vital for us to get across our message that this was a welcoming platform where students can come, people can come, anyone can come and just watch and just you know, really be invited into what we are talking about. And so when Lucy created our opening sequence sound on GarageBand, it meant that it would be punchy and very fun and something to entice people in. So overall this project was really exciting to work on and I hope you really enjoyed it.